You're talking about the choice thing, right? Where it's like you put 20 choices on the end of a grocery store aisle and you get mediocre sales, and then you put 3
That's
choices.
another one. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it's when it comes to investing, that's the most common question I get in my DMs is like, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, I've done 50 videos on how to start, how to get
Yeah.
started. There's other creators, there's dozens of creators that have told you exactly how to get started in investing. It's just there's so much. Everybody's got a little bit of different spin. They just don't know what path to go down, so they just kind of freeze up and do nothing.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I made some of those videos myself, and I started to make more of them, and then I realized this is actually a rabbit hole. You could just make videos on how to start investing and never satisfy that need fully, because
Oh,
There's
what
some
usually
creators that
gets
do
people
that. I mean, just
past
like
it is kind of that diving in sort of thing, and that usually comes from the inspiration of people, actually living
if
the
they follow you down the
experiences.
rabbit hole, though,
right.
Yeah.
they've got to follow you down the rabbit hole. I mean, a lot of people just want a quick, they want it in a TikTok. How do I do
Yeah.
everything, you know, in 15 seconds? And
Yeah.
you just can't. You gotta step in and go.
Yeah.
It's
And that's one
tricky.
of the things where the fallacy of paper trading comes in. This is something I'm just learning about. I've had so many people, I've started off where they're like, I really learn about the stock market. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I use Webull for paper trading. I think it's super easy. So here's, a link, go check it out. And then they start doing it and they're like, oh, yeah, this is way too complicated. Like I'm gonna be scared to death if I put actual money in, and then they just disappear. And they never even stepped into so literally just getting it is always the hardest part of these endeavors every single time.
I did a post a while back that actually did pretty well, but I was like, dollars get you started, and there was another finance creator that came on there and said $5 isn't going to do anything for you. I was like, well, $5, what that does is that sets you up. I mean, $5 isn't going to
Yes.
turn to a million, but that's going to that you go from being a person that knows absolutely nothing about investing to being a person that has a brokerage account open, that knows how to place an order. I mean, that's the big hurdle is actually just getting started. And so I think
Yeah.
five
I think
dollars
that
is
initial
huge.
$5 is possibly the most important investment you ever make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
completely
think
agree.
I think the first $5 is critical, and if somebody's willing to, to invest $5 to have the experience, I mean, yeah, you've broken the ice, and that really moves the buck forwards in a big way. Because
Huge.
I mean, we're such experiential learners. Even the people that don't call themselves experiential learners, we're all to a degree experiential learners. Brandon, the thing that you brought
Uh-huh.
up about compound interest and the way you described it, Dustin, it's cool that y'all brought that up, because I've been thinking about those concepts of how people don't notice compound interest. They don't notice compound growth. And I've actually
Hmm.
been thinking about that in terms of investments, where I'm trying to flip it. And I'm going, okay, where are spots that people aren't noticing compound growth? For example, I mean, the classic one is well, now it's classic already, is the fact that Tesla stayed at, one particular area for a real long time, and then it just
Right.
blew the hell up. And when you look at it, one of the things to see there is oh, nobody knows what one more gigafactory means. It's too big to make any sense of
Yeah.
it. One
Hmm.
more gigafactory is a really weird phrase. And I've been trying to look at companies from that perspective of, who's grabbing compound growth in a really vague way. Like for me, I was looking at the investors presentation for Palantir, and
Hmm.
their company is so confusing on the surface, and their numbers are so large that I think a lot of people are just automatically tuning it out, like it just doesn't even exist. And I'm
Yeah.
curious if you've ever experimented with this and ever like looked for investments this way, of like, is there a like something that's invisible to a lot of people because of
I
that
got I got
psychological factor?
I know I got burned by this for years. I mean, one that I always think back to is Amazon, how they were just like growing at just leaps and bounds every single year. but I kept looking at the price to earnings multiple, and it was like 800 or something crazy, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
And but price to
Mhm.
earnings, you're talking about that's a linear comparison right there,
Mhm.
not factoring in the exponential growth. So I know I don't know how much money I lost by not buying him. I first bought it in 2017, but had I bought it, you know, when I first started looking at it, I mean, people were talking about it and talking about the valuation. That's the first one that always immediately jumps out to me. And then you think about like when Facebook, I think it was Yahoo that tried to buy them for $1 billion, and Zuckerberg said no. I mean, they're growing exponentially with their users. Zuckerberg said no,
Right.
turned it down like in 2010 or something. No, it was even before that, I think. But I mean, and of course now they're, you know, what, like a multi-$100 billion. So obviously he was right on that one. But
Yeah, he did okay.
I remember at the time everybody thought Zuckerberg was just a nut job. It's like, how do you turn down $1 billion? You could be set for life, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that played out for him.
Yeah, I'm really curious about investing from that perspective of going, okay, where am I where is my natural psychology gonna not notice the
There's going to be
growth?
opportunities right now. I think, depending on, you know, how everything plays out with the shutdowns and COVID and the recovery and everything, people just don't know. I mean, some people are going to latch on to trends that they think are going to persist into the future indefinitely, and they're not. I mean, some things are going to go back to normal, and
Right.
you know, some relatively soon future, hopefully. And then other things that we think are going to go back to normal, I'm concerned, are going to be the same way forever. And it's just
Yeah.
picking
Yeah.
those trends and knowing it's going to be.